Hello again. It's Larry Steinhouse, and this is the Larry Steinhouse Show. Here we go again. It gets better and better every single hour, every single half an hour. You know, this is probably the first time that in hours that I haven't looked at the stock market to see whether I've lost or made any money. But that's a whole different story. So I'm excited today because I have another guest. I have Tom Corner. What a cool name, actually, that is. We're going to talk about that in a minute. And Tom Corner has a really cool philosophy on understanding your meaning, your fears, why you do what you want to do, why you don't do what you want to do, because actually I like that a lot. And he has a book, and Tom will also help us understand the importance of selling you, being the expert, and leading the leaders. So, Tom, I want to say hi. First thing I want to do is I want to hold up a picture of your book real quick. I want to see if I can actually do this. Let's see if it'll work. There we go. So there's your book, and it's called Borrowed Feet. Borrowed. You're
reading it backwards.
Yeah, let's do that. Go. It looks like it's reading it backwards. It's not. Borrowed Eyes and Feet. Now, come on. I got some cool equipment here. My cool equipment won't let it be backwards. So, yeah, right. Borrowed Eyes and Feet. So tell me Tell me first about this book, because I'm really dying to hear more about especially the title.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for having me, Larry. It's an honor to be here.
Well, thanks.
And the book, that is my fifth publication, and that's my personal memoir.
Oh, cool.
And so that was published officially about a week ago. And Borrowed Eyes and Feet, and it's interesting. I was talking to Todd before coming in here and talking about his book and the title of his book. That title came to me in a meditation the morning of December 2016. And the subtitle is Finding Enlightenment After Rage. So Borrowed Eyes and Feet, what in the world does that mean, right? So I sat on that title and just thought about it for a while. In the meantime, everything led up to it. I was really transforming my life. I was working with the life coach, I still am, for the last 4 or 5 years. I really actually started immersing myself in A Course in Miracles. And I wrote down notes from meditations. I wrote down notes from the lessons and the readings. And that came to me. And I followed for the last 20 years or so, or my entire life. I enrolled in what I call, Zig Ziglar called, Automobile University, right? Driving around as a sales rep, and I would listen to Wayne Dyer, Jim Rohn, Tim Ferriss, Tony Robbins, everybody. And I didn't understand what it was. I wanted to do what they did, and it just didn't. I wasn't ready to receive it. So this is a long answer to your question. So Borrowed Eyes and Feet came to me after many years of trying to figure out why I'm doing what I'm doing, what's my purpose. And so I opened the book up with the symbolism of eyes and feet. What do they symbolize? From whether it's mysticism, whether it's Buddhism, whether it's Jesus, to give you an idea of what the eyes and feet symbolize. And the book is my personal memoir. It was really hard for me to write because I'm opening myself up to being what you could say vulnerable, because I talk about what could be considered my weaknesses. I mean, I had self-doubt that I carried with me for a long time, as many people do.
I was going to say, I don't know anybody who doesn't have self-doubt. I mean, there are times I wake up and sure enough, you have to have self-doubt. I believe if you don't have self-doubt, that you're not human. And you know, you have to either decide that you're going to be stuck in that self-doubt, or you're going to say, you know what, I think I can prove that I'm wrong, that I can fix this, and I can make this better. And you just either prove you're wrong, or you say, I can't prove I'm wrong, but I'm going to move on past that anyway.
Yes, absolutely. And that's it. If you're aware of that and you're brave enough to challenge what your thoughts or your subconscious is telling you that you can't, or that your doubts, but it's all stems back to, where do your doubts come from, right? So why do you do what you do? And I had to ask myself, why am I doing what I'm doing? And I realized I was living up to the expectations of everybody else, which makes sense. You're brought up, and your doubts come from what you're taught, right? So I'm doing my best as a parent. And I know that what I'm doing for my daughters is the best to my knowledge. They can absolutely challenge me and question that, and I want them to. And so, to your point, doubt comes from what we're brought up, and it's our upbringing. and I love my parents, and they surrounded me with love and support my entire life, and I didn't see it, right? I wasn't ready to receive it. All those teachings of Wayne Dyer, Jim Rohn, I wasn't ready to receive it, and now I'm ready to receive it because my energy's aligned, right? So Eyes and Feet is really about the energy and about, okay, I'm coming onto the Larry Steinhouse Show. I can't do this. Are you kidding me? Those thoughts, I call that the mosh pit of my mind in chapter 3.
Let me. And I'm curious because
Yeah.
and again, I'm just some guy on Facebook. No big deal. But did you really have that thought, or were you using that as an example?
That's an example. I mean,
Okay.
of course, I had that thought,
Okay.
but I know that I'm supposed to be here.
It's awesome.
It's part of my journey.
I know you're supposed to be here too because I invited you.
Yes, exactly. Right, exactly. So, but yeah, that comes through your mind, and I'm talking in the car as I'm driving here, preparing. That's just normal.
Absolutely.
But it could be my feelings. My feelings of doubt could be so overwhelming that I don't show up here. Right?
It's funny you said. I was just, and it's weird that you said that. It's really weird how things happen. I was thinking about it, and this was so odd that I was thinking about this from a job interview when I was 17 years old that I was too scared to go to, and I didn't go.
Exactly.
Isn't that odd that you just brought that up? And where does a thought like that come from?
Right.
Obviously, it came from the fact that I needed to talk about it right now.
Exactly. You carried it with you a long
Right.
time. Now release it.
Right. So there you go. So I was 17 years old, and I loved to do electronics.
Yeah.
And I was calling out, and I was trying to get a job. I was taking electronics in high school, and I was trying to be able to work for a company that does electronics, and repair things.
Right.
And this guy gets on the phone with me. I call him up. He says, "Yeah." He says, and the words that he said to me were these: "I'm not sure if I want you, but you better show up for this interview." And that was it. And today I realized, maybe years later, I realized that was it. That's all. He was basically telling me if I showed up for the interview, I had the job. He wasn't telling me that that I didn't deserve the job. He was telling me if I showed, and I never picked it up until years and years down the road. And how crazy is that I just didn't go? I was so afraid because the guy said that to me that I didn't go, and I didn't get the job.
Perception.
Exactly.
So pain is a wrong perception. Right. So the love and support, and that's why I wrote my book that my parents gave me. I didn't see it that way. I perceived it the wrong way. Right. And so it's fascinating. And I was thinking about that. The doubt, anything. And Wayne Dyer mentioned this. And I remember listening to
By the way, you look like Wayne Dyer.
Thank you. Or
is it just because you're bald? I'm not sure which.
Right,
But
it's
anyway.
the bald. Right there you go. But he talked about this. He said, well, stress. Any of you, can you fill up a bucket with stress? And I'm like, that's just stupid. What the heck does that mean? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And my pain and my doubt became so powerful that I had to look at it and to say, and I do this with my kids. And I said to my daughter when she didn't want to go to tennis, and she's crying because she didn't want to go. I said, fine. We're just going to go for a ride. We'll think about it. But before we get ready, take this bucket and fill it up with all your worries because I want to dump it out and empty it so that we can get rid of it.
So tell me about that
go.
metaphor because that is a wild metaphor. Tell me
Right?
Do you actually physically write them out or just you actually speak them?
It depends. My oldest daughter speaks them. The one I was just telling you about, Jordan, I get her to write them down.
Cool.
What do you think them?
That's very cool.
But basically, she looks at me like, what's wrong with you, Dad? So we go, and I said, give me your bucket. And she takes it into the trash can, and she dumps it. And that's great. And I dumped it in the trash can, and I said, there's nothing in there. And she's rolling her eyes like, come on, Dad. And she's 9. She's like, you're a knucklehead. I said, but I want to empty this bucket so that you can fill it up on the way to tennis so you're no longer afraid. And she realized, like, oh, they don't exist. I can't put any of my doubt, I can't put my fear, I can't put my anger, my hatred anywhere. I challenge anybody listening to fill a bucket or a bag of their doubts and their fears and their stress and bring it to me.
I love it.
Right? You can't. And so, okay, what does that mean? And I heard this 15, 20 years ago. What the heck does that mean? That's stupid. But if you allow that doubt to control your life and you don't do what you want and you're asking yourself, as I did, why the heck am I doing what I'm doing? It's because of doubt. It's because of fear. And I decided, and that's why I wrote my memoir. It got to a point, Larry, where I said, well, a life of anger is not a life worth living. And I have a choice. This life could cease to exist, or I can go the other way towards love. And love is my strength. A lot of people, you say love, oh, that's weak. You're going to go around and love people and hug them. That's my strength, because I hid behind being confident. I learned to be confident, and I've hurt people along the way. And then I realized there's another way to do it. So all this anger, and I'll do it to myself. If I become upset, I'll say, just put it in that crazy bucket and fill it, and it doesn't exist. And then I'm able to say, okay, well, what's the worst that can happen? What's the worst that can actually happen, Larry? Like, really, if you go deep, what's the worst that can happen?
Sure.
You're not here anymore. And does any of it matter?
Right.
No.
Sure.
So why don't you change it and do as you do? You're doing this. Or you're doing what you want to do, and you're having fun with it.
That's exactly
Everybody's saying, who's this guy? I want to do what Larry's doing. Right?
Yeah, and it may not be this, but it may be, and the idea is just having fun. You're
Absolutely
right.
not. It doesn't have to be.
I mean, I put this whole studio together just because it's fun.
Exactly.
I mean, you know how many people have said to me, they're like, come on my show. I'm like, what's it going to cost me? I'm like, nothing. Just come, have fun, right? Did I ask you for anything? No, just come.
Yeah, and thank you. This is an honor to be here.
You're welcome, and I appreciate
you're giving
you being
back.
here.
I mean, you're giving back because you can.
And
you're bringing,
and it's fun.
You're bringing so many amazing people in here today.
Can I tell you that this is totally selfish for me? Would you believe that?
Absolutely, it is.
Absolutely, and you get it, because a lot of people wouldn't get that.
Absolutely,
they wouldn't get that. They wouldn't understand the fact that yes, it's totally selfish for me. Of course, I'm giving back. Of course, I'm interviewing people like Tom Corner,
right.
And of course, he's benefiting from it. But I'm totally selfish because I'm enjoying every minute of it.
Yeah, right. And you should be.
Right.
And I'm selfish because I'm here, right? But
and you want to help people,
but it's a good way, right? Absolutely. But if it were 5-10 years ago, I wouldn't have been here. First of all, because it just wouldn't have been. I wouldn't have been in the right place with my mind, my thoughts. That I would have said, "I'm not going there. Who's this Larry guy? What does he want?"
Hey man, hey,
right.
For every time this plays, I want $1,000. Okay, man.
Right. Exactly.
Starting now. Dig it up. No.
Yeah.
So I have a question. So you said something about wait, just real quick, a couple of comments on here. Karen Epley says, prove yours and others' doubts wrong. We talked about that a little earlier. Yeah. Every morning I tell my daughter, you are strong, you are smart, you are brave, and you are beautiful. I think that's fantastic. That's
absolutely
good for you, Karen. Beautiful.
Good job.
Ron's being funny. I do believe, but help me overcome my unbelief.
Absolutely.
And then again, Karen says, Ron, I love that verse. I don't know which verse she's referring to because it was such a long time ago. But if you want to just let us know, Karen, which one you were talking to, I appreciate it. And I always appreciate everyone's comments and questions, anything that you have for everyone. Oh, and then Karen real quick says, last night I read the poem. Please hear what I'm not saying. Powerful, just what Tom is talking about. And she put a link to that poem. I don't know what the poem is, but it sounds interesting. Right. So awesome. I don't know. Do you know the poem or no?
No.
Yeah, I can't. Unfortunately, I can't click it up. It's way too difficult for me to click it up. But that would
mess up the whole screen. Don't.
I could just say if I did, everything would shut off. That's really what happened. but talk to me real quick. I wanted to ask you. You said something about anger. Mm-hmm. So tell me about your anger situation. Why that keeps coming up?
Right. Anger. Everything we're talking about, Larry, it's all fear. Anger, hatred, doubt. It's fear.
So right? You think so what you're saying is you think that anger is fear manifested into, I guess, anger,
it's
right?
Fear. Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
And I have 4 older brothers. My parents divorced when we were young, and I wrote my memoir. It talks about that. It captures what I call my year of enlightenment, because I didn't understand why I was so angry or why I reacted to things certain ways, and it doesn't make sense. And again, I have somebody I call a life coach that they help me through this. And so this wasn't done alone, right? And I always thought that I have to do things alone because I want to prove that I'm strong. And if I need help, well, it's weakness. That's just completely idiotic. Like, you need people. I need you to help me out, and vice versa. So the anger, I believe, came from pain is a wrong perception. My parents divorced at a young age, And I was, as a kid, you need love and you need support. And the world, when you're a kid, is perfect. There's no fear, there's no doubt, there's no anger, there's no hatred. It's just perfect. And my parents,
Sorry about that.
okay, no worries. And my parents split up. And for me, it seemed to be hardest. Maybe because my awareness level, energy level is different. And I asked my brother, I said, why am I so angry? He's like, well, I'm angry too. He just expresses it in a different way. And a lot of people are afraid to talk about it. I express my anger through, what you call cutting or self-mutilation. Right.
Really?
So and I open up, there's the part in my book about this where I have 80, I stopped counting after 80 scars and cigarette burns on my body because I didn't know how to express my feelings. I couldn't find an outlet. So what happens is, all right, I'll do it to myself. And I created physical pain to mask or express my mental pain. And I carried that with me, and I carried those scars with me, and in shame. No longer I don't carry it in shame because
good. I'm glad. Yeah, I would.
And that's why I'm here, sure. And that's why I wrote my book because I have a friend who did it, and there's so many people that do that. And whether it's cutting or you drink or you use drugs, whatever it is, there's another way. And I carried that with me, and I was so angry, and I knew that I needed to find out why. And that's why I asked him, why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I so mad? What is it? And if I couldn't find acceptance within, I'm in trouble. Because if I'm looking for approval from everybody, Abraham Hicks say, if you're looking for the approval of everybody or people outside you, eventually somebody's going to disappoint you.
Right.
And I talk about all these guides. Jim Rohn talks about the story of the bird who got his eye pecked out. And the owl says, well, you had your eye pecked out. Why? I see you're upset. I'm like, I'm not upset about my eye being pecked out. I'm upset because I let them. Right? You let these things happen. I realize I allowed it to happen. And I can change it. But it got to a point where that change to be the same, Larry, was greater than the pain to change. So I had to change, and I wanted to share it with the world and with people that feel that they don't have a voice or they can't do anything about it. And I dress up in a suit and tie, but I carry that burden with me. Not anymore because I made peace with it, but it didn't happen suddenly. This took years.
Oh, sure.
But
yeah.
But it's awesome. It's empowering because I'm no longer afraid. If fear rears its head, I'll throw it in that bucket, or I'll just. And you talked about meditation. That's a big part of it. And most people that you talk to today, they probably meditate. I bet you everybody that comes in here today meditates.
So I don't, but I sort of do.
You probably do. You don't know it.
Yeah, well, I think that's it. And I was going to go in that direction.
Right.
You know, there are times where I'll just sit on my porch. My wife and I, either together or alone, will sit on the porch, the front porch, just sit in a rocking chair, and and just I don't know, just think. I think, right?
You think.
I think.
Yes.
I think. Sometimes
yeah,
I think.
That's
I
it.
think.
That's it.
But I'm always think. I think.
But everybody thinks they need to sit in a quiet place and hold their
do a
hands a
formal
certain way in a
meditation,
pose.
Right.
And you don't. And I sit there, I'm like, I'm not doing this right. And then eventually I just go on and then I receive the messages. I receive a book title. I receive that I'm going to be somewhere. I mean, you can call that crazy, but it's amazing that you are able to channel your thoughts, and you hear all your doubt. You hear your mind saying, you're an idiot. You can't do this. You don't deserve that job. You don't deserve to write that book. And then eventually you say, well, why not? And I call it in the book the mosh pit of your mind. If you've ever been in a mosh pit, it's crazy, right? At a concert, people are jumping around and it's violent, and you can't get out. Like, people push you back in. They're all the negative thoughts. And then they say, well, think positive thoughts, right? And then they say, oh, okay, I'm great. I deserve the best. And then it doesn't work, and they say that's BS, and I'm going to do, we're creatures of habit. I'm going to do the same thing. But eventually, over time, I kept throwing these things in there. I'm like, this is crazy. There's something wrong with me thinking negatively. And now these affirmations, this meditation has overcome the mosh pit of my mind. And it's funny. Have you ever seen a peaceful mosh pit?
No.
If you did, you'd leave. You'd be like, this is ridiculous. But it's fascinating. if you're not aware, or you do what you do, or you react to someone the way you react, you just say, well, why am I doing that? It's that 2 million year old brain that Tony Robbins talks about. It hasn't updated. I'm going to either fight or I'm going to flee. I'm going to kill you or I'm going to run. Right? You send me a text message or there's a message on the board from today, and I could read it, and my subconscious is going to either kill them or I'm going to run.
Or misunderstand it.
Perception.
I
Absolutely.
I had one yesterday that total misunderstanding. I can't get into it right now. We're actually
you can if
almost
you
out
want.
of time. No,
Okay.
we can't. We're almost out of time. But you know, and it's funny. I'm realizing really quickly that a half an hour for everybody is just not enough time.
It's awesome though.
But it's
awesome.
But you're right. It's
awesome.
It's more than zero, right?
Yeah, it's absolutely is.
Isn't that
absolutely.
the perfect response to that?
I love it.
So real quick, how can people get a hold of you? Do you have a website or something that people get a hold of you?
I do, yeah. My website is tomcorner.net, TOMCORNER.net. You're more than welcome to call me or text me, 484-574-1439. And I'm working on, you'll see on my website, I have some book signings coming up, one in Center Valley, PA. I'll be in Rome, Georgia as well in November. My sister-in-law, who painted the cover of my book, I'm going to go there and do a book event and then join her for her art event. And I'm planning a few more. Fairfax, Virginia. I'll be at Burlap and Bean the Saturday after Thanksgiving. So I have a lot of events coming up. Please come out and support me, but feel free to reach out, tomcorner.net. You can also reach me at inspire@tomcorner.net. But Larry, this is amazing.
Well, thank you, man.
Thanks for being selfish. I appreciate it.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all. And we will have this. Obviously, you'll have it available on YouTube as well. It'll be here all day. And that's it for now, guys.